Iowa is hiring Tim Lester to be their new offensive coordinator. Is it the splash hire? No. Is it a sexy hire? Also no. But tell me this, when have we ever considered the Hawkeyes to be a splashy or sexy football program?
From LA to Piscataway, all Big Ten all year long. This is Big Ten 10.
The way this offensive coordinator search and eventual offensive coordinator hire went down should have been seen. I saw it, and we all should have seen it coming from multiple country miles or the back roads of the state of Iowa away, because Kirk Ferentz does things at his own pace. Kirk Ferentz makes decisions that he views best, that he views can get them the most wins as possible. Iowa was never going to make a splashy hire. Iowa was never going to have a hot name come in to be the next offensive coordinator of this team for multiple reasons, right? And it starts with Kirk. It starts with Kirk Ferentz, right? At the end of the day, this is what Kirk wants. He's the head coach, and at the end of the day, it's going to be Kirk's influence that will dictate what the offense looks like. And then second of all, the allure of coming in and taking over this Iowa offense, yeah, it probably wasn't exactly what maybe some of the more up-and-coming names and maybe some of those quote-unquote hot names were maybe looking for to take over an offense that had been at the bottom of FBS for a long time and certainly needs a lot of help. So you could understand those two factors put together, why there wasn't going to be a big name of any sorts really jumping to this job. This is going to be a marriage. This is going to be a compromise. If you watch what Tim Lester offenses have looked like before and you watch what Kirk Ferentz and Iowa offenses have looked like historically, there's going to be some meshing of things schematically that are going to come together. That will have to be worked out when all is said and done. But when you look at Lester and this move to Iowa, there are some hills and valleys that you got to hike through. Lester has spent more time throughout his college coaching career actually as a head coach than an offensive coordinator. So he's got that CEO mindset as well. I'm very curious to see how that meshes with Kirk Ferentz as spring ball and fall camp, and maybe once we get a couple of years under our belt as well with Lester, right? Most recently as an offensive coordinator, he was at Syracuse in 2014 and 2015. There were injuries. Scott Schaefer got fired, so he was kind of in a lame duck situation. There was just a lot that didn't exactly help out Tim Lester at Syracuse. The record showed it. Their offensive production showed it as well. So you can maybe mark that as a negative as a con on the pros and cons chart when you're talking about Tim Lester. But you also have to talk about his time as the head coach at Western Michigan. He began his time as a play caller in 2018. Remember, he took over for PJ Fleck. Fleck left for Minnesota after the 2016 season. Okay, Lester came in 2017, and as I said before, took over play calling in 2018. But this was a Western Michigan offense, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. That was pretty good. And this was a Western Michigan offense that was pretty efficient. Now, it took a little bit of a dip in 2022, and I think I mentioned this last offseason when you talked about all of these Bronco transfers that transferred into the Big Ten Conference. How about Minnesota taking Corey Crooms? How about Minnesota taking Sean Tyler, who had rushed for back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons? Indiana stole Andre Carter from the defensive side of the football. So that was a little bit perplexing, but their quarterback threw 11 interceptions, and this was an offense that just was not good at all. It was in the triple digits, much like the Iowa Hawkeyes has been. But I think you got to look at his entire body of work. There's been some people online that have pointed out the negatives. They've pointed out 2022 at Western Michigan. They've pointed out his time at Syracuse as well. But if you're going to talk about the negatives, I believe that you have to talk about the positives as well. Like, even in his one season in 2016 as the quarterbacks coach at Purdue, this was a Boilermaker offense and ranked 21st in the country when he was the position coach over there. David Blau, remember him, right? He was in that program, really starting to get things going in the cradle of quarterbacks over there. And although that was a season where Purdue didn't win a lot of games, him specifically, what he was able to do in his tutelage at the quarterback position kind of laid the groundwork going forward for Purdue in years to come, where they were a little bit more successful under Jeff Brom. Jeff Brom did not retain him in that position as well. Like, you look at 2021 during that season, okay, this was a Western Michigan team that beat Pitt on the road, a Pitt team that was led by Kenny Pickett. 44-41, the Broncos were able to win that game. So that might put things into perspective a little bit as well. There are some positives, there's some negatives. There's some pros, some cons, there's some hills, and there's some valleys. Right here and right now, I can't say for certain Tim Lester is going to be great. I can't say for certain that Tim Lester is going to suck. Because in all reality, it might come in the middle. And that's exactly what the Iowa Hawkeyes need on the offensive side of the ball. Okay? They can't have what they have had the last few years. You can't be in the 130s. You can't be in the 120s. But to look at Iowa and the way Kirk Ferentz builds this program, I'm not sure if you can realistically expect Iowa, even at their top of the top offensively, to be in the 40s and the 30s. This is a team, considering what they have on the defensive side of the football, all they need to be, give me 81st in the country, give me 89th, give me even 91st in the country on the offensive side of the football. Give me below average. Improve just a little bit. I think that's all we're asking for right now out of Tim Lester. I was able to watch some of this Tim Lester Western Michigan offense, and I look at that, and then I look at what Iowa has been historically, especially in this last reign with the Ferentzes at the top, with Brian as the offensive coordinator, and they look pretty different. I'm not going to lie. When Western Michigan goes out there, rarely do you see the quarterback come under center, right? He's a lot of time in the shotgun. You're looking at a lot of 11 personnel with a tight end, a running back, and 3 wide receivers. A lot of spread run game, I should say. Things schematically look different. How are these two forces going to work together to make this Iowa football team a better offensive team going forward? I think you're going to see things sprinkled in. You're going to see some sprinklings of maybe what Tim Lester had in Kalamazoo, but there's going to be a lot of what you've seen historically at Iowa. How are they going to adjust? How are they going to come together and make this an Iowa offense that fits the personnel? Because these coaches, Kirk Ferentz and Tim Lester, they can talk, they can draw up plays on the chalkboard. They can think about anything they want to do. Spread run games, 11 personnel. Pound the rock under center, right? They can talk about that until they're black and gold in the face. But at the end of the day, it comes down to personnel and what fits with this personnel. We know how Iowa has been built. And when you look at personnel, I think you got to look at the quarterback position. Cade McNamara played a very Iowa-like type of offense in his good season, right, in 2021 when he was able to lead Michigan to a Big Ten championship, right? It's great offensive line play. It's running the football. It's play action off of that and not putting too much pressure on your quarterback. I think if there's one thing in common that maybe Kirk and Coach Lester will have in common, that it's they want to establish the run, right? Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons for Sean Tyler in this offense at Western Michigan when Tim Lester was the head coach there. I think that's certainly going to be an emphasis, and I've said this before on this channel. It needs to be an emphasis to take some of the pressure, some of the ease off of Cade McNamara. Like, I see what Western Michigan put on film during Tim Lester's time there, and I just can't imagine Cade McNamara being in that type of offense. Although you may see sprinkles of it, I just don't think that is going to completely migrate over here. And then considering that we know that Kirk Ferentz is going to do what he views as best, you're going to be running a Kirk Ferentz offense at the end of the day. I think that's where those things really come together. Will the offense get better? I'm not sure if it can get any worse. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Do you like the hiring of Tim Lester to be Iowa's new offensive coordinator, or do you think we're going to get more of the same? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'm Big Ten Ted. We will see you in the next one.
Thanks for watching Big Ten Ted, where it's all Big Ten all year long. Make sure to like the video to spread the word of Big Ten Ted to the masses, and subscribe to the channel for updates on Big Ten content that drops every day.